Eileen Record sits at her kitchen table in Ladysmith, British Columbia, sorting through forms that have become a constant in her life. They're not for travel or leisure, but for something far more essential: basic home support for her husband. Gary and Eileen are charged $54.42 a day, nearly $20,000 a year, for care that helps Gary, who has dementia, stay at home. Because their income is from pensions, they narrowly miss qualifying for the $300 per month cap. Their only relief is a temporary rate reduction, but that, too, is fragile. The process is outdated, ignores inflation, and expires after 90 days unless refiled. No one will say how often it's denied or just forgotten. Like many seniors, Eileen and Gary already paid into the system, but now they're forced to cut back on food, on caregiver help, even on basic necessities. One month, Eileen used her entire tax refund to cover just 4 weeks of support, money that was meant for car insurance, not health care. This unpaid caregiving takes a toll, financially, emotionally, quiet stress that builds daily. And at its core, this isn't just about TRRs, it's about fairness. Home care should be accessible, not buried in red tape. Medical support at home should never be a government revenue stream. The current system puts the burden on seniors, when what they need is barrier-free care that keeps people safely at home. Then came the fall. Just a quiet stumble in the living room. Nothing dramatic, but enough to bring the ambulance. Now, Gary is in the hospital, stable, confused, but physically okay. The doctors say he'll be discharged tomorrow. Eileen stands by the window at dusk, watching the last of the light stretch across their yard. A spot has opened in long-term care. It would be easier. Meals, bathing, medications, fully subsidized, all bundled in. It would also be cheaper. But that's not what Gary wants, and it's not what they planned. This home is where they built their life. It's where Gary feels safe, where they hoped to stay together. If Gary couldn't return home, he'd become one of thousands stuck in hospital beds, not because they need to be there, but because there's nowhere else for them to go. Right here in Vancouver Coastal, that cost taxpayers $73 million last year alone. And when you add Interior, Fraser, Island, and Northern Health, British Columbia spent nearly $500 million keeping people like Gary in the wrong place, just because the right supports weren't available at home. Eileen and Gary have always valued their independence, but as they age, staying in their own home safely requires support. In British Columbia, 1 hour of home support per day costs just $14,000 a year. Even at 6 or 8 hours daily, the cost is still less than what it takes to build a single new long-term care bed. By investing in home support, we can help more seniors like Eileen and Gary live with dignity, while easing pressure on long-term care and respecting public dollars. If Gary hadn't recovered, he could have become one of thousands of seniors waiting in hospital, stranded in an alternate level of care bed, because no long-term care space was available. This chart shows the future we're heading toward. Unless home support is expanded, BC could be short over 30,000 care beds by 2040. That's not just a strain on the system. It's a heartbreak for families like Gary and Eileen, who face impossible choices. Let's try a thought experiment. What if, instead of spending over $1 million to build and operate one nursing home bed, we supported seniors to age at home? Providing 6 hours of home support each day costs about $90,000 a year. Over 5 years, That's $450,000, saving the system nearly $900,000 per person. With those savings, we could care for more people in more communities while preserving independence and respecting public dollars. Gary wants to stay at home. He feels safer there. And honestly, it costs less, $240 a day with support, compared to $270 in long-term care. But when home care isn't available, people like Gary end up stuck in hospital beds. At over $1,000 a day, it drains the system, and it takes away the choice that matters most to him. Gary never wanted to leave his home. It's where he feels grounded, connected to the routines and relationships that define him. With Eileen beside him, he's more alert and engaged. They share meals, play games, and enjoy the quiet moments that hold their life together. But as his care needs grew, the costs of staying home, without enough public support, became overwhelming. Like many families, they faced a harsh choice: go without help or leave the home they built. A long-term care bed costs nearly $1 million to build. 6 hours of daily home support, just $90,000 a year. Gary still opens the car door for Eileen. They still open their front door for the grandkids. They're doing all they can to stay independent, together, but they can't do it alone. With the right support, people like Gary stay healthier and out of hospitals and care homes, which cost far more. This isn't about charity, it's common sense. The Jewish Seniors Alliance is asking for something simple and fair: public investment in accessible home support. This isn't a fringe request. It's a practical, humane solution that lets seniors age where they want to be, at home, with their families, in their communities. It strengthens public health, reduces pressure on hospitals and long-term care, and supports the frontline workers who deliver care every day. We're not asking for charity. We're asking for policy that reflects our shared values: dignity, fairness, and a public system that cares for everyone, not just those who can afford it. We at the Jewish Seniors Alliance believe that home should be a place of safety, comfort, and care, even as needs grow. Our community of volunteers, advocates, and program staff works every day to support that goal through outreach, education, and direct service. We've shown that with targeted investment, seniors like Eileen and Gary can stay at home longer, with dignity, at a lower cost than long-term care. We're proud of what's been achieved, but there is still work to do. We hope you'll join us in building a system where staying at home is not a luxury, but a viable choice for more British Columbians.